Touching, squeezing, and arresting. Yes, we're talking about the TSA again. The Transportation Security Administration was created in the wake of 9/11 to help prevent future terrorist attacks. But some people have called the TSA's tactics a form of security theater that just doesn't make us any safer. Let's just take a look at some of the most ridiculous examples that come to mind.
Your daughter was flagged as no fly. I said, excuse me?
It's absurd.
My life is pretty much in their hands when I walk through a body scanner with my insulin pump on.
She was right to be worried. The pump stopped working.
This woman was just doing her job, but she actually touched my vagina.
The other hand on your inner thigh, slowly go up and slide down.
We can do that out here, but if you touch my junk, I'm going to have you arrested.
Since 9/11, we've slowly seen our rights to privacy while flying completely dissolve. Just take a look at this timeline. Right after September 11th, the TSA immediately started making security changes. Knives were the first to be banned, then shoes needed to be removed. Following that, lighters and liquids were next to go. Mandatory full-body scans came along, but that didn't make us any safer. In 2009, a bomb was smuggled into an airplane, and just last May, 4 chef knives were brought into a plane. And these are just a few of the numerous security breaches that we know about today. One of the biggest controversies surrounding the TSA is their implementation of naked body scanner machines, a program that's already cost taxpayers $87 million and is planning to be spread nationwide. Now, there have already been outcries about the naked scanners as a violation of privacy. But recently, a blogger has uncovered fatal flaws in the scanners, revealing how they can be tricked with in-sewn pockets and metallic objects that can smuggle through pretty much anything illegal. So what's the point of all this extra security if it doesn't actually make us safer? Joining me now, more on that, is the blogger who revealed it all, Jonathan Corbett, president of Fourten Technologies. Jonathan, glad to have you on. Could you elaborate more on what you uncovered, the vulnerabilities in these scanners?
Absolutely. So I've been researching the body scanners for about the last year and a half now. And I've come across several vulnerabilities, but none as simple as the one that I described in my video that came out in March of this year. Essentially, the body scanners have a bit of a problem seeing things that are on the side of one's body, especially metallic objects. Essentially what I did was I took an ordinary shirt and I sewed a pocket on the side of it, put a metallic object in it, and walked through the body scanners on video repeatedly. And what I found was that the body scanners were unable to detect the object that I had with me.
What do you say to the TSA's response to this video that went viral? They said, it's really unfortunate that this person revealed the vulnerabilities in our system because terrorists could take advantage of that. What do you say to that?
Right, as if a terrorist has not been thinking about this much more in depth than I have. The bottom line is that these vulnerabilities are numerous, and they do not take any kind of neuroscience to uncover. The problem is that the TSA does not let anyone independent test these body scanners, so they keep everything a secret. That goes for both the efficacy as well as the health effects. These are X-ray machines that we have to trust are safe and effective. That's just not something that we as the American public can do right now to give the TSA that trust they have not earned.
So, Jonathan, the TSA, despite the abysmal failure, it seems, of these scanners and kind of the commonplace understanding that they are failing, they just released this congressional report saying, yes, we know that there's vulnerabilities, but we're going to place forward these recommendations to solve them. I mean, why are they trying to implement 1,000 more in the next 2 years?
It's got to be pretty embarrassing. By my estimates, they've spent close to $1 billion by now on these body scanners, as well as the installation, the maintenance, and all the little things that go along with the body scanners. So to come back and say, oops, we just wasted $1 billion, strip search grandma, groped your daughter, we're sorry. That's a tough pill for them to swallow. I think it'd be easier if they did it now than if they wait another few years until someone gets through with something dangerous, or who knows. They're not putting security first. They're putting their own image first. They're putting buying expensive toys first, and it's truly unfortunate.
Talk about how your findings really caused such waves that you're actually presenting them to Congress.
Sure. After the scanner video that I put out was released, it received something like 2 million YouTube hits within about a day and a half. It was featured all over the world in international media. It was responded to by the TSA, and people took notice. It was very pleasant for me to see that people out there are watching and are seeing what's happening with the TSA and are catching on that A, this doesn't make us safer, and B, even if it did, it's not the right thing to do. And Congress as well. The TSA has had the balls to stop U.S. representatives and senators going through airports, pat them down, detain them, so forth. You know, it's truly incredible what they think that they can do, and the public and Congress is watching.
And so your testimony is going to be a very important one. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on that. Jonathan, I wanted you to talk a little bit about the incompetency that you put forward in one of your videos where you're interviewing an actual TSA agent who's saying, you know, they give us these manuals, they say that we're mandated to read them to understand how the scanners work. We don't read them. I've never even read one in my life. They don't even really train us how to properly use these machines. And then you see that case of the woman who just, the TSA official broke her $10,000 insulin machine. I mean, why is this incompetency being pushed on this industry? It just seems almost like it's working against national security.
You know, I think there's a few reasons for that. Number one is that no one really wants to work for the TSA. It's the people that you have that actually take the job are probably just looking for a job and taking what they can find. You know, it's an environment that is hostile to work in. It's a place where you're stuck touching people's genitals against their consent all day long for a living. So it's not going to attract the best and the brightest, and that's part of the problem. The bureaucracy, the sheer size of the TSA, my God, it's 60,000 employees right now. You can't have a government organization that long without extensive waste and disorganization. And what we found is that these employees have not read the books, have not gotten the updates, and the updates haven't gotten down to them. And it's not all the employees' faults. In fact, I would hardly blame the employees at all. It's the management fault for not ensuring that their employees have this training. You know, when you have 50,000 employees to train, it's not a small undertaking.
Jonathan, I wanted to read you a couple stats that you just talked about, the growth of the TSA and you know, how many employees are currently working there. Americans have already spent over $60 million since 9/11 on funding the TSA, and yet it has allowed 25,000 security breaches. They've spent $36 million on devices that puff air on travelers. And like you said, 62,000 people are employed. For 9 months of work, one TSA executive received a salary of $5.4 million. So what's the alternative here? I mean, are you proposing to completely abolish the TSA?
Absolutely. You know, we need airport security at some level. The pre-9/11 security measures were great, with the exception of reinforcing the cockpit doors, which we've already done, and having a traveling public that's not willing to let 4 men take over their airplane, which we've also done. The TSA, with their body scanners, their puffer machines, their ETDs, have not done well with catching even things that you'd think would be easy to catch, such as firearms. The latest report that was released on that said that the TSA misses approximately 70% of firearms that are brought through the checkpoint. So you can look at the TSA's weekly catches that they post on their blog about how many guns they've caught, and you can double that number to see how many guns they've missed. You know, you mentioned those puffer scanners, puffer machines that cost $36 million. Well, what happened was those machines broke down, and instead of fixing the problem, they actually sent all the machines to a warehouse to be destroyed, and bought these body scanners instead. It seems like the TSA is bent on spending money hand over fist, and it's just not the solution. There are much cheaper solutions, much less invasive solutions, and the great one is bomb sniffing dogs. Why the TSA has not chosen to implement those machines is beyond me.
Jonathan, on your blog, you mentioned the first underwear bomber attack, and the witnesses, Kurt Haskell specifically, says that he witnessed a well-dressed man aiding the guy on the plane, and I mean, it's speculated that he was purposefully given an undetonatable, you could say, bomb. Do you think that this was all kind of a plan to get these body scanners in the airports?
You know, I'm hesitant to engage in what many people would call a conspiracy theory, but there do seem to be a lot of coincidences. After the embarrassment with the TSA in searching a bunch of children over the last month, it comes out, you know, a few days ago that some child had gun parts hidden within her toys. You know, it does seem very coincidental that the TSA all of a sudden finds these things. And they may be finding them, but I think oftentimes they're hyped up. For example, this new underwear bomber that they found that they said had a non-metallic explosive. What does that mean? Did this person have a stick of dynamite? Did this person have something, more significant? Did this person have the means of getting it to the U.S.? We don't know. And most importantly, would the body scanners have actually caught it? And in my experience, if the person had concealed it properly, the answer is no.
It is very interesting, these cases that come time and time again that shows some sort of aiding and abetting by actual government agencies. Thanks for joining us, Jonathan. That was Jonathan Corbett, president of Fourten Technologies and the blogger who exposed it all.